So I choose to go through so we're gonna start with the first part of the solution, and to be multiple parts, I'll try to do so. I try to keep it as short as possible, but also as precise as possible for you, so you can understand. I'll do my best to give you all the required information for you to actually. I think we'll have to do another set of exercise, which will allow you to get the grasp of it, and then try to do more. All right. So the first thing we'll start with Visual Studio, obviously, and go to any folder you want. Okay. For me, I created a folder called Python course. Here, I create one folder called anything you can say XML parsing or XML processing. Yeah. So once you have that, you can just come here to Visual Studio as you know. Go to the folder you've created. For me, it's this one. All right, all good. Okay. And one more thing to do is to take the XML file I sent you and just copy it in the folder you created like this, like so. It should appear in the Visual Studio Code. Then you can open it, and then it has much better color. Okay. So, as I explained earlier, an XML file has a tree structure where you have a root or a parent and its child. Okay. So, for example, here the wire parent has order as a child. So he has like three childs here. Okay. I'll show you, for example, a proper. I did a small mapping so where you can see this is the wire. Okay, can compare it with this one. This is the wire. This is the order, which is the child. The order is the child. Order details is the child of the order element. We call them elements. This is a root element, order details element, amount element, exponent element, and currency element, and such and such. And you can see the order details has three child coming out of it. So which is amount, exponent, and currency. As for the attributes, those are like characteristics of those elements. All right. So this one is out. So I'm going to explain what are you supposed to do. So the goal, as you know, is to have our program be able to reach where we stored our XML file, read it, and then as it's reading it, when it takes the data it's required, go and write it into a Postgres database. Okay, so far so no issue. So so the first thing, I think that's it for now. So now I'm going to create a file which I'm going to write the Python code which will be used to go and read the XML file. Okay, then I will try to go through with it and explain each part. Earlier in the other videos, I had put it how I was asking ChatGPT. So I would just first go through like ChatGPT, like I'll go through the code ChatGPT gave me in order to explain it to you. So here I'll write XML parsing, for example. We call it XML processing. We'll call it the Python file. So we end with py. Okay. And then we first do a normal import. So this will allow us, when you do import, as you know, it allows you to use certain libraries. For example, here we'll use the library which allows us to parse XML file, XML. But sometimes you might find other type of libraries. Yeah. So we just do as et, and then as in the code, I would just write as ChatGPT was writing. So first of all, we'll just set the path to the file. Okay. So here mine is, I wrote that it's at C user bar and downloads exercise. So you just have to do the same thing. You just copy where the file is with the anti-slash, okay, by separating by anti-slash, okay. The next step is to get the root element. So get the root element of the XML tree. So we just write root tree get root. So, and then that means how to exit. So here we want to get the root data. So this is the variables we are going to use. So when you do tree get root, so it's like first import XML tree as et. We have the XML file, and then sorry, before that, because this is the path of the file first, we have to read the file first. So we say that the tree, we have to get the tree. So we have the path, so we want to get the tree. So the tree is all of this. Okay, so as you can see also on the schema, so it's the tree. We're getting the whole tree. Okay, sorry. All right, so we get a 3, and then once we get a 3, as you can see, the et parse where the file is, so it's self-explanatory. Et parse, so this library, we can say the library or the class, the function, I want you to parse this file for me. Out from it, from this tree, then we get access to everything in here. And then we say, from there, I want to get the parent or the root. Here, you can call it a parent or you can call it root. So it's like you have the functions from the library. It says, okay, tree, you have a function called get root, okay? And from there, we have the root. So the first thing I'm going to do, as in the exercise I said, I want us to save the file ID, the origin, the file date. So we have to read those before. So what we're going to do first is, as you can see, we're just going to access them. So I'm going to copy again the from ChatGPT. So you can see with the file ID, root, get, I want this attribute. So this get is a function. It's like a functionality of the library. It's a functional. You see this way you do like et parse me this file. So this is a functionality of this library. And then we say, okay, once you have it, you have the root. The root I also give you the access to get the root. So it's like still it's tree again get root. So it's a functionality of getting the root and such. And when you have the root, as I told you, a file always has one root in everything. So you only have one root. So here I say, okay, I want to get the attribute. So the attribute is how you do. You just do the root get, like root get. So the root functionalities is to get a file. So I think even if you do like this, you can see all the type of functions which the root supports. You see, you just root that find all, clear, get, insert. Like for example, if you want to insert new data inside, this is what you're gonna do when you want to write an XML file. All right. So we have the file ID, as I said. We need to have the file ID, the origin, and the file date. So we have the file ID, root gets, and then you write into comma the file ID, the origin, and the file dates. With this is just to print, as you know. So we just print this data just to print them. So far, no issue. So now we want to be able to read all this child, the orders for child. Okay, I mean the childs of the wire, which are orders. Okay, so I'm going again to write again to paste it here. So we'll have iterate over order elements. So here we say for order in root find all. So that means I want to find all the child of roots which has this name, which is the order. So we have to write it order. So that's why you write it here. So it's like find all of them, please. So that way. And then from there we'll get each order the same way we did roots, and then we did get root, and then here we did file ID root get file ID, which was the attribute of this. So the library for it, as you can see, the library will be able to know what you are pinpointing on, because now we're at order, it will know if you say, for example, execution date, you mean this execution date. You get me? You get, or you mean this file ID, or you mean this. But because we're here, we're at the root level. Now we're at the child level. Okay. So far, no issue. And then, so now I'm going to say I want the execution date and the beneficiary. Okay. So this is what we get. We get execution date get instead order, sorry, order get execution date, order get beneficiary, order get origin. So from what I can understand, from what you can see, sometimes, but it will come with experience. You can notice when we're at the element we need. For example, right now I was at wire, and you need to get the attribute. You use the get function. Okay, that's why we have like root get file ID, root get origin. But when we come to order, so when we want to get a child of a certain element, for example, in our case, we were at the wire and we needed an order element, we use find. Find me that child, if I may say. So here we'll have, for example, now that's why here you see if I wanted, when I wanted to have execution date, beneficiary, and origin, it was get, order get beneficiary, order get origin. But now I want the order details, right? So what I'm going to do is gonna be order find order details. Okay, and you have to, this for it's a loop, so it's going to loop, it's gonna repeat the same process as many times as possible, not as possible, as many times as there are order, for example. Okay, and but you can see the order details, there's only one within the order, so we know for sure it's only one, so we're not gonna sweat it too much. All right, so I'm just gonna do this. So as you can see, that's order find order details. And now, as I was telling you, you see the order details child is the amount, the exponent, and the currency. So you just do the same things. Now it's order details, find whatever the data you want. So it's gonna be order details, find amount, order details, find exponent, and such and such. Okay. Sorry. All right. So now, if I press print, you can see it printed everything. I don't know why it's always show the only two. Okay, now it's good. It's much better. I have to learn how to use it. So you can see now it shows like, okay, all of them, all the details which were written into the orders are here. Okay, I don't know. It still shows. So usually it's working. I don't know why it doesn't print everything, but I will deal with it later. But for now, what I know for sure it's working. Okay, so it printed actually each order here. So you can see order details amount with the file ID, and I don't know why. Because we did not print the execution. I'll just add it here so we can see everything here. Okay, now it shows order attributes, execution dates, and such and such. So far, it's all good. Okay, so now I hope you understand this one. So I'm going to save it. So before saving, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna create a Git repo for it. So you can either create it straight from the Git VS Code, but I'll try to show it to you creating it first on GitHub. So you go to your GitHub account. As you remember, you go to, I hope you watched the video where I showed how to install Git on your machine. So you do new, and we call it the way we were, okay, XML processing. Okay, we just call it XML processing. So usually you just write it like this. Oh wait, we just write it in. XML processing. Okay. Make it public. Then we create it. Okay. So you come back to your repo here. Usually it will show you how to connect your GitHub when you do it the first time. So just do it. Okay. So now I come to version control, source control, I'm sorry. And then just do initialize repository, or you can publish, but I advise you to do this one instead. So it will ask us for the first commit. So we say first, or you call it parsing or file, for example, parsing file. So this code just parse the file. That's one thing for sure. So we do okay, and then we say publish the branch. So the branch, it wants to know if you're gonna call. So branches also on GitHub, there are things called branches. It's like GitHub is also like a tree. I won't go deep into it. Just try to follow with me, and you will understand. Okay. So I will first create a branch. The branch, I'll call it file 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 processing, for example. Uh, should I call it file processing? Yes. File parsing. Let's call it file part because we're not processing it yet. Let's just call it no. Let me call it file processing. Let me call it file processing. Okay. So we call it file processing. You can see here it shows that you are on this branch now. So now we do publish branch. It will open this, and then you can choose which repository. So we're gonna say I want to publish to this one. I don't know why it's okay, sorry. Here when it does it wants you to create one. So once you are done to do with the 5%, you come here, you do remote, and then you do add remote, and then that's when you can look for the uh, okay, you can say I want to add from from GitHub. Did you see how I did it? Come here, no, sorry, come here, remote, add remote, click here, add remote from GitHub, and then that's it. And then remote name, no, I already gave you the remote name. So we just call it, we write again file processing, and then you publish the branch, and that's it. Git fetch, ask me later. So if I come here, you can see I created a branch called file processing, okay? And then later, we'll create another branch. I will explain to you how it works. But for now, you can see I pushed the code that's about to read it. So yeah. In the next one, I think what we're gonna do the next, we're gonna go through the setup of the database and everything, so you understand how it works. And yeah.